To me, they're so unsightly, so I said, what's the point?
Here, what noise do potatoes make?
Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Cassandra and this is where I talk about my life experiences and lessons learned to try and help other people who might be in similar situations. If that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. In this video, I will be describing and comparing different kinds of braces, aligners, and methods to align your teeth and make them nice and straight. So I'll be going over metal braces, traditional brackets, self-ligating brackets, ceramic or white braces, lingual braces, and Invisalign or clear removable aligners. So starting with metal braces. This is the more typical traditional sort of brace that you will find. So for that reason, it is the cheapest option out of them all when it comes to straightening your teeth. There are two kinds of brackets that you can get with both metal braces and ceramic or white braces actually. The first one is the traditional brackets, and with the traditional brackets you'll often get these horrible molar bands around your molars. They're extremely painful and very unsightly. I've got a video about molar bands and spacers and how they really hurt. They're not the nicest. With those traditional brackets, what you also need to do is use an elastic or a rubber band to secure the wire into that bracket, and that's not so great because it adds extra bulk and it also is a lot harder to clean around, so you can be more prone to like decay and just nasty stuff, smells, things like that, as well as the bands becoming discoloured. Now, a lot of people do like the look of the bands and they like experimenting with different colours of bands, and that is again the most cheap traditional option out of them all. There's also self-ligating brackets, which is what I have, and I have them from the brand Damon. So what a self-ligating bracket is, a self-ligating bracket, instead of just having like those 4 points where you can anchor the elastics onto in order to secure the wire, the self-ligating brackets, I'm going to show it like a loop, but it's not a loop. It's more described as like a door. It's sort of like a trap door, you know? So it kind of like comes down to close the wire that would be behind here, and that's how it's secured. And for that reason, the Damon brackets are actually smaller in the mouth than traditional brackets that you would need elastics to secure, and again it makes it a lot easier to clean and keep up your good oral hygiene, which actually does help with speeding up the process of aligning your teeth and making that a little bit more smooth for you. Another benefit of self-ligating braces over the traditional ones is when it comes to comfort and consistency of movement, let's say. Because when you have something elastic holding onto a wire, it's very difficult for that wire to slide backwards and forwards. And when you are aligning your teeth, what happens is that the wire that you put in your mouth, it should get longer and longer at the back. The reason for that is, if you think of like your teeth being all crooked at the start of the process, the wire needs to be quite long to wrap around all of those teeth. And as the wire straightens the teeth, you need less wire to get around them, and then there's an extra bit sticking out at the end. So that's why the wire needs to be able to move freely in the mouth. With the traditional brackets and the elastic, it's really hard for that wire to move back and forth, which can cause more discomfort for you in between like changing the wires and changing the bands, because as the wire wants to move, as the teeth straighten, it's a lot harder for it to do. So it causes unnecessary pressure and irritation in the mouth. With the Damon brackets, however, where it's more like a loop or like a door, the wires are free to move back and forth as it needs to. So that's what self-ligating means, and that makes it a lot more comfortable. There's less pressure in the mouth, things just, they go a lot more smoothly. Now, the Damon brackets are a newer technology, so they are slightly more expensive than the traditional brackets, but they also don't need those horrible molar bands at the back. So they are more comfortable, they're smaller, and they're more aesthetically pleasing. The second sort of material or category of braces that you can get are ceramic braces, also known as clear or white braces. One of the advantages of getting ceramic braces is that they're normally coloured quite closely to your teeth, so it can be less obvious that you actually have braces. Some people like to get ceramic braces in the top and the bottom. Other people just like them at the top because when they smile and talk, the bottom teeth aren't really showing anyway. So that's the biggest advantage of going for ceramic braces. The downsides to ceramic braces though, ceramic as a material is not as strong as metal. So that means that in order for the ceramic braces to sort of last over time and to not easily fall off of the teeth, they actually need to make them thicker. So ceramic braces are larger than traditional metal braces. They do come both in that traditional bracket style where you get bands on them. Some people get clear bands, which again can really stain, white bands as well. I've seen recommendations that if you use silver bands, then they don't stain, but that seems a bit like against the point of getting less easy to see braces if you're just going to cover it in something that's really easy to see anyway. But they do come in that ligating form as well, so that you don't need to have extra bands on there. It can be possible as well for the brackets themselves to have some staining, especially if you're not really good with like rinsing your mouth after you've had like coffee or dark drinks and foods. Ceramic braces are also more expensive than the traditional braces, again because it's something newer and fancier, but again it does add that extra bulk in the mouth. And remember, the wire will always be metal, so even if it's a bit harder to see the brackets themselves, you'll still always be able to see the wire. So it's a bit like, do the benefits really outweigh the disadvantages? The next type of braces that you can get are lingual braces. So sort of regular braces like the ones I have go along the outside or the cheek side of your teeth, and they can always be seen really. With lingual braces, what that means is that they're actually on the inside surface of the teeth or the tongue surface. So they're on the backs of the teeth, and that means that they're much harder for people to see unless you're like opening your mouth really wide and tilting it and things like that. So that can be a good compromise between having fixed braces that are also normally invisible. Two major downsides to lingual braces. One, it's really expensive because it's not only a newer technology, it's a different technology. The wires and brackets can be quite different, so for that reason the cost really goes up. And also, when you have something in the inside of the teeth, you very quickly realise that you don't have that much space in there. So your tongue feels like, it doesn't really have somewhere to go. It's quite uncomfortable. You can develop a much heavier lisp with lingual braces compared to the ones that go on the cheek side of your teeth. And they're also much harder to clean. If you've already kind of got crooked teeth like me, like my bottom teeth were really tilted sort of inward and my top teeth were really tilted outwards, which made it really difficult already to brush. And if you've got sort of these like crooked teeth, then it's difficult to get your toothbrush around all those different surfaces. When you have the braces on the outside of the teeth and you can see them, then you can see what you're doing and pay attention to those nooks and crannies and clean in all the right places. It's very easy to get interdental toothbrushes in there. When the braces are on the inside of the mouth, you can't see anything. You don't know what you're doing there, so it's all just kind of like a guessing game. You can kind of feel where the brush is, but you can't really see those nooks and crannies, any food that might still be lodged there, or any sort of build-up of plaque and things like that. When you've got braces on the inside of your teeth, it's also really difficult to get interdental toothbrushes in there because you kind of had to like bend in a weird way, and you can only point into your soft tissues, so you can potentially jab the bottom of your jaw, like your tongue or whatever, or also the palate. Whereas with braces that are on the outside, you can come in from the bottom so that you're less likely to poke yourself. And the last type of braces or aligners that I'm going to talk about in today's video are clear aligners. Invisalign is probably the most popular one that you've heard of before. So there are two main benefits of Invisalign or clear aligners that people usually go for. One is that they are the least noticeable type of braces that you can get, because it's literally just like this clear plastic that doesn't have any colour, doesn't have any metal wires, they're completely transparent. So that's why a lot of people like them. They are also removable, so brushing your teeth is exactly the same as it was before, because you can just take out the aligners, brush your teeth and then pop them back in. Downsides of clear aligners: they're very expensive. The price does sort of differ depending on the complexity of your teeth and jaws, but generally clear aligners are much more expensive than sort of regular fixed braces. Another big downside or sort of caution point with clear aligners is that because they're removable, it's really easy to either forget to put them back in, or to be lazy or resistant to any discomfort and just not wear them as long or as much consistently throughout the day as you would need to. So I think it's something like for 23 out of 24 hours in the day, you need to be wearing these clear aligners. But if you take them out to brush your teeth or to eat, it's so easy to forget to put them back in. You might lose them, and all of this stuff, it just really slows down the process of straightening your teeth, aligning your teeth. Another thing as well, because they are made of a plasticky material, you do have to clean or brush your clear aligners as well, and you need to be very gentle so as to not to scrape the surface of the clear aligners, because as you scrape it, it becomes less transparent. It becomes this sort of like foggy colour, and those little like scrapes, grooves, abrasions are places where the bacteria and the plaque can build up and sort of damage your teeth and cause them to smell really bad. Another kind of downside, or maybe a misconception or caution point about clear aligners, as I mentioned, the main reason why a lot of people go for these is because they're the least visible, but they are not invisible. Now, obviously they're not invisible, because even transparent stuff like glass or plastic, clear plastic, you can still see that. But what I mean is that a lot of people think that clear aligners are just like plastic retainers, where it's just all formed to the shape of your teeth. But actually, the majority of the time with clear aligners, especially if your teeth are, let's say, more crooked or your situation is more complex, they still need to put on what they call buttons. And buttons in clear aligners are basically what brackets are to fixed braces. So those buttons are like, I don't know what they're made of, if it's plastic or ceramic or whatever. It's basically like a little cube that they stick to the front of your teeth, so that when you put the aligners in, it clips to those buttons so that they don't as easily fall out, and it also gives leverage to actually move the teeth. So if you think of this as a tooth surface, if you've got an aligner that's sort of like trying to move this here, it's like, it does move, but not as well. So if you stick a button to the front of the tooth, then the aligner can wrap around that and help to rotate the teeth. So the buttons themselves can be sort of like tooth coloured, but similar to the ceramic braces, you can get staining with that. But also, because then the clear aligner has so many more angles and edges to sort of wrap around, and there's saliva in your mouth, all of those surfaces and edges are extremely shiny. So what that means is that people can see that there's something in your mouth. It looks bulky and awkward, but they're maybe not totally certain that it's braces. With traditional braces, it's like, okay, that's braces, whatever. But with those clear aligners and the buttons and all that sort of shine and slime, it can look a bit gross, like, ooh, what is that? You know, so you may get some weird looks. And lastly, on clear aligners, they are not resistant against lisping, because you have that extra bulk on both sides of the teeth rather than just one, and you're maybe constantly taking them out and putting them back in, then you do still develop a lisp with clear aligners. Now, you do develop a lisp with all of these types of aligners, but with clear ones, I think people maybe sometimes forget about that. Okay, so that was a bit of a deep dive into the different kinds of braces or aligners that are available to you. And now I'm just gonna do like a quick rundown of like the most expensive, the least visible, and things like that. So let's talk about visibility. The most visible type of braces that you can go for are those traditional metal braces that need the elastics to secure the wire in. Again, it's the colour of the brackets themselves, plus the colour of the wire, plus the colour of the bands, and they're the largest ones. Next, which is a bit less visible, are the braces that I have. So still the metal brackets, but the diamond brackets. So they're smaller and you don't need to have an extra bulk of the elastic bands. Next, we have ceramic braces. So again, the ceramic bracket can be sort of tooth coloured and less obvious to see, but the wire is always going to be that metallic silver metal colour, which will always be visible. Then we have clear aligners. Again, these are transparent for the most part, but those buttons will make a lot of sort of reflections that still make them a bit noticeable. And the least noticeable or visible braces that you can get are then those lingual braces that are on the inside of the teeth. What are the most expensive types of braces that you can get? I would say probably the most expensive is going to be the lingual braces, then the clear aligners or Invisalign, then ceramic braces, then metal braces with diamond brackets and metal braces with traditional brackets. And for the ceramic braces, they also come in traditional brackets and metal brackets. So lingual, clear aligners, ceramic, traditional metal brackets, and self-ligating metal brackets. What are the biggest or bulkiest braces that you can get? I would say the traditional brackets for the metal or ceramic braces are the biggest and bulkiest ones. Then I would say, actually arguably the lingual braces, because again you've got all of that bulk on the inside of your mouth and you don't have enough space for your tongue, so maybe that's a tie between the traditional braces and the lingual braces. Then you've got the self-ligating braces. Again, those brackets are slightly smaller. And then maybe the least bulk is Invisalign. But again, with clear aligners, you've got bulk on the outside and the inside, so that one's a little bit less obvious. But definitely if you're going for fixed braces on the outside of your teeth, then the traditional brackets are going to be bigger than the self-ligating brackets or the diamond brackets. What type of braces are the most lispy? With all of these types of braces, you are going to have a little bit of a lisp when you first get them, or maybe, when you get the wire changed or when you get a new aligning tray, just as your mouth adjusts to that extra bulk in there. But you do sort of get used to it over time, and the lisp does improve over time. So the ones that are definitely the most lispy are the lingual braces, because they're right inside and they're touching your tongue all the time. So it's much harder to get used to talking again when you've got lingual braces. I would say that the clear aligners are the second lispiest, again because it's got stuff on the inside of the teeth and on the outside of the teeth. Next, I would say it's the traditional brackets with ceramic. That's because the traditional brackets are bigger and the ceramic is also thicker. And then the least lispy type of brace, again the ones that I've got, but I do still have a slight lisp. I notice it, but other people probably don't. It's those metal braces on the outside of the teeth with self-ligating diamond brackets. What type of braces or aligners are the hardest to clean or keep up oral hygiene? I would say the lingual braces are the hardest to clean or keep up your oral hygiene with, again because you just can't see what's going on there and it's much harder to get different tools in and about the wires and the brackets. Next, I would say the traditional brackets that have the elastic bands. Ceramic and metal doesn't really make a difference. It's just those elastic bands that's creating the extra bulk, the extra nooks and crannies for plaque and things like that to hide. I think that would be the second hardest to clean. And then between clear aligners and diamond brackets, I actually personally think that my diamond brackets are fairly easy to clean and keep up my oral hygiene with. Every time I've been to the orthodontist or the dentist, the dental hygienist, since I've had the braces, they all say that I'm doing really well with keeping up my oral hygiene. And actually, I thought the routine would be a lot more involved and complex than it actually is. So for me, that's fairly simple. Now, again, with the clear aligners or the Invisalign, cleaning the teeth is exactly the same as it was before, and it gets easier as the teeth become more aligned because you can just remove that aligner to clean your teeth. But you do then also need to really take care of the aligner itself and make sure that you clean that. So depending on how complicated the cleaning is versus how often you actually clean them, that will sort of influence whether the diamond brackets or the clear aligners are the easiest to clean for you. So that's the deep dive into the types of braces and aligners that you can get, as well as a rundown of the most and least of whatever characteristic. Now I'm just going to quickly tell you why I chose the braces that I chose. So again, I have metal brackets with the self-ligating brackets or the diamond brackets. The reason I chose these, I was really thinking about clear aligners or lingual braces. Clear aligners, they're, I would say, really popular, probably the most popular type of braces or aligners amongst adults, because we typically associate braces with like awkward teenagers, right? So when you're an adult, it can feel a little bit like childish or weird, or just making you appear more like juvenile or borderline less professional if you have those visible traditional braces. So a lot of people go for Invisalign for that reason. However, it's becoming more and more popular for adults to have both these aligners and very visible braces. So I think a lot of that sort of stereotype and stigma is going away, to the point where it doesn't really bother me as much as I think it's an important point for other people. So I was really thinking about clear aligners for that reason, but actually because of the buttons, again, they're just, to me, they're so unsightly. So I said, what's the point? For me, that totally takes away any advantage of clear aligners. And also because my teeth need to be moved quite a lot, I just felt, after speaking to the orthodontist and getting their advice, that the fixed braces would be a better option for me. And I didn't get the lingual braces because, again, they're much harder to clean, they're much more difficult to get used to against the tongue, and they are so expensive. So I think at the time where I was making my decision, I was doing my comparison, I think at the time the cost difference between the metal diamond brackets and the lingual braces was something like 6,000 to 8,000 euros, which is a lot of fucking money, okay? Like, if you're already having to pay for like the base level of braces, to fork out an extra 6,000 to 8,000 on top of that and have these other disadvantages, I mean, think of all the other things you could do with that money. It just wasn't worth it for me. Then I did also think about getting the ceramic or the clear braces, and the two main reasons I decided not to go for that is, one, because of the bulk and the fact that the ceramic material isn't as resilient as the metal, so it's more awkward in the mouth and they're more likely to fall off. Not so great. And also in terms of the visibility, they're kind of discolored, but you can still see them, let's be honest. Like from far away, maybe not, but when someone is talking to you face to face, you can still see ceramic braces. And again, that wire is always going to be visible, and ceramic braces are more expensive. And then we come down to why I decided to get the diamond brackets or the self-ligating brackets over the traditional ones. And I think that's already quite obvious. The diamond brackets are smaller, there's less bulk, and they're easier to clean. They are a little bit more expensive, but not too much more. I think for me, it was about 2,000, 2,500 more expensive than the traditional ones. But again, for the comfort, and in the marketing, they say it helps to align the teeth faster. I don't know if that's true, but I think they're certainly more comfortable and easier to clean. So that is why, after all of that deliberation and thinking I was going to go for clear aligners or Invisalign, I actually ended up going for one of the most visible types of brackets or braces. Alright, so I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please let me know in the comments down below, or if you have any other questions or things that I didn't cover in this video that you would like to know, leave me a comment and I will try and get back to you on that. If you liked the video, do give it a little like, share it with someone who might also find it useful. You can check out this playlist of time lapses of how my teeth have changed and moved so far, and go ahead and subscribe for more updates, more videos and information like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.